Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah. Greetings to everyone, world over, all our brothers and sisters across the globe, wherever you are. Green morning, green afternoon, and green evening. Hope you're taking care of yourself, your family, your neighbors, your community, your society, your civilization, and you're doing extremely well. Please take care of your health. Post-pandemic period, you got to be mentally healthy, physically healthy, spiritually healthy, environmentally healthy, and of course, very important, you got to be economically also healthy. You got to find a reoccupation for yourself the best possible way. And let's repackage, rethink, regenerate everything the best possible way, whatever we can do. So Saturday evening, very important evening as far as Canada, United States, Latin America, all those places are concerned. It's a wonderful morning. I'm pretty sure it must be having a wonderful weather over there. In northern India, today it's heavy rains, heavy showers. All around, you have got beautiful greenery and rainfall. And at the same time, people, those are in Europe, post lunchtime, I'm pretty sure before you go for your evening tea and your coffee, let's spend some time together. And the neighboring countries of beautiful Bharat, in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Middle East, and all the places, we extend a very warm and a very hearty welcome to everybody world over. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have got a very special session for you. We always keep talking about education, NEP 2020, which came on 29th of July in the thick of a pandemic. Sometimes we wonder from the chamber, 25th of March 2020, complete lockdown, all shut down everywhere, challenges in all sector, health sector workers. They're also great warriors, but at the same time, our teachers, our educators, our principals, our directors, our vice chancellor, our counselor, our coach, our mentors, they're also wonderful people. They made the show going on and go on because they put in their best of efforts. By any means, they tried to reach children during the pandemic. Now the things are getting better. Things are coming out from the difficult times and world is getting back to normal. And when we talk about education, whether school education, higher education, technical education, vocational education, futuristic education, whatsoever you talk about, one of the most important components area is inclusive education, which is the need of the hour. And today we are very privileged. We have got Madam Poonamjit Kaur, the principal, Smart Wonder School, Mohali in Punjab. Madam has come a long way from the education ecosystem. Having spent a lot of time, I'll share with her profile in a little while. Welcome on behalf of ICSI, International Chamber for Service Industry, which is the combination and a trio of the NRIs, non-resident Indians world over, leading corporate houses and the government interface. From time to time, for market research, policy advocacy, innovative strategy, consultancy and training, we keep giving a lot of inputs to Government of India, at the same time to the corporate sector, and of course our brothers and sisters across the globe, 32 million Indians abroad. We are proud of them. They're doing wonderful. So hearty welcome to Madam Poonamjit Kaur, the principal, Smart Wonder School, Mohali, which I told you in a beautiful state called Punjab in India. She's self-motivated, confident, and articulate academician with a good analytical and problem-solving skills who brings a creative mindset to all her work and tasks. She possesses an in-depth understanding of teaching, pedagogy, educational psychology, instructional skills, assessments, and evaluation. She possesses an intuitive grasp of how children perceive and learn what is presented to them and have an ability to visualize related issues in several dimensions, seeking out solutions that are fresh, creative, and practical. Coming from an army background, she has the privilege of studying and teaching in best schools across the country. She has a master's degree in economics from the Punjab University. She has a wide and a varied exposure in the field of education, ranging from teaching in the pre-primary school, social studies and English, at the primary and secondary level, as well as economics to senior secondary students and undergraduates of Delhi colleges. She has been the coordinator of the junior wing at Chandigarh's premier school, Vivek High, and founding principal of two schools, the Sky World School and JLPL Pearson School in Chandigarh. Thereafter, she joined the Next Education as an assistant vice president. Training, she has conducted various programs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are really thankful to Next Education because during the thick of the pandemic, we have done approximately 100 webinars in one series with them based out of Dubai. We had Mr. Arpit Duggar and an entire team of his. They all had come. You can see them on the ICSI web portal. Now, Madam Poonamjit Kaur, she has conducted subject-specific and skill-based training and workshops, pan-India, and the keynote speaker and a panelist of the various educational conferences. She was selected and trained at COE Pune as a master trainer for English by CBSE in 2016. She had been involved in developing the primary curriculum as well as teacher training module at Next Education. Since 2019, she has been the principal of one of the leading secondary school, Smart Wonders in Mohali. The name itself sounds so scintillating, smart also and wonders also. You know, we say wonders of life, wonders of humanity, wonders of universe. And she is based out of Punjab in Chandigarh. She has continued to work with curriculum, lesson planning, capacity building for teachers, academics, and admin audits. That is Madam Poonamjit Kaur. Now, tomorrow's highlights, I quickly roll. Tomorrow morning, 9:30, we will be taking you to Woodbury University, Burbank, California, Los Angeles, and you will have a program from Professor Satinder Dhiman. And this is going to be 160th webinar, which we have 160 webinars we have already completed with him. Vidya se Adhyatam Vidya ki aur. What is beyond education? How do you look ahead of education? How do you become a better human being? How do you serve the humanity? There are a couple of questions, and why have you come on this planet? Now, in the evening, every Sunday, we have got a special program for you. Vishwa Kalyan ke liye Ayurveda. That is Ayurveda for the global health and beautiful, wonderful wellness. That's with Dr. Parmeshwar Arora tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. And 8 p.m., like every Sunday, we will be going to Canada and United States, and we will have non-resident Indians for tourism, education, and service industry. That's going to be the theme tomorrow. 15th of July is going to be the World Skill Day, and we will have a curtain raiser program in the evening. What exactly the world is moving on in and what all is happening in future, what kind of skills are required for the service industry, what are the career opportunities, all that we'll be sharing with you on 15th. Our chamber during the pandemic, post-pandemic, we are for capacity building of educators and youth through Digital Inspirational Lab. Somebody may say, what is Digital Inspirational Lab? Dil se dil ko milaiye, dil. You know, nowadays, everybody talks about Niti Ayog. When you see Niti, Niti is the English word. What is the National Institute for Transforming India? Similar way, what is DIL? DIL is Digital Inspirational Lab. What's the purpose, objective? Making education and skills relevant. Something very interesting we have brought over here, where it's a research oriented, it's a real world need and the problems and the issues and the case studies that all we discuss. We learn through nature, and teachers, we know they are the gardeners. Water management, waste to resource management, climate change, understanding the cultural diversity, immersive learning experiences, health, wellness, and spiritual tourism. All that when we talk about your soft skills, your technical skills, your global skills, your hard skills, and your human skills, all that we take as an integrated part. Our chamber is coming out with, I have just come back from Odisha, and there's going to be a program, International Convention, 22nd International Convention in Bhubaneswar in Odisha on 5th and 6th of October, coinciding with the United Nations World Teachers Day. And this is basically artificial intelligence in tourism and hospitality, education, technology, how the world is changing, how to shape children, how teachers also got to be the co-learners. So, ladies and gentlemen, you should not stop learning. Keep learning whatever you can learn. Learn every moment, learn from each other, learn from others. Whatever you can pick up, the best investment you can do on this planet is invest in your own learning. Let's move together today on a very important segment of the education, inclusive education. What kind of skills, competencies, talents, passion, what all is needed in the teachers, and how do you handle these special children with inclusive education when we talk about this chamber? Every evening, we have got a program for you at 8 p.m., and that's going on. And till date, we have completed 2020 webinars during the pandemic, and it is coming live every day on @ICSI India Live. So with these words, I wish to extend very warm welcome. Join me in extending our gratitude and warmth and welcome to Madam Poonamjit Kaur, the principal, Smart Wonder School. And ladies and gentlemen, your topic, my topic, our children topic, our parents topic is a human beings topic, and that is inclusive education, need of the hour. Hearty welcome, ma'am. Pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for joining us. It's indeed a great, great pleasure. And the topic which you have taken and the segment and the subject what you have taken is a very important subject. Do parents really understand? Do teachers really understand? Do education ecosystem really understand? How do we identify that children need some special hand holding and what all has to go on? We would like to have, because you have an insight and you have spent a lot of time on this particular topic and subject, we would like to hear you. We would like to have your views. And at the end, then we will try and bring in some kind of a questions if it is there from the audience. Otherwise, we would just go ahead with our own interaction. With these words, Madam Poonamjit Kaur.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Gulshan. Thank you for having me on your channel. And as you know that, I'm an educationist. And for us, every child is important. So every child is unique and every child is important. And we need to create that environment where every child feels included. So basically, if you see during the Gurukul time or in the early ages, our education system was inclusive, right? So children, when they went to their gurus, they were not taught the same thing. Their individual needs were looked at, and they were taught what they needed to learn according to their abilities. However, over time, there was this standardization that was created, and every child had to do the same thing. However, we all know that we are all different. As adults, we are different. So obviously, as children also, we are very different. And not only are we different, but sometimes we have different abilities or disabilities. So when we talk about education, when we talk about inclusive education, we are not talking about equality. We are talking about equity, right? So we are not saying that give the same, worksheets or give the same conditions to every child, because that is not inclusive education. When we know that a child has some disability or some special need, we need to give that child something different. We need to look at what is the problem, what is the requirement, and thereafter help the child overcome that disability, right? So most people get confused between equality and equity. There is a difference. We need to support the children with a learning disability. Now, when we talk about learning disability, before that, when we're talking about inclusive education will include children who might have some physical disabilities, special needs, as we call them, children with special needs. The child might have some cognitive disabilities, the child might have some emotional disabilities, right? So emotional problems. So they are children who have multiple needs. It could be environmental, it could be genetic, it could be anything. So that is why it is imperative that the educators, the heads of schools, get more aware of their children and learn to see the red flags. So we all educators know what is the norm. So if we see a child who is not in that norm, it is a red flag for us. So I am not suggesting that educators or principals or even special educators start diagnosing children. That is not our job. Our job is to identify if a child is not meeting the academic standards, then look at what is the reason behind it. It could be cognitive, it could be physical, it could be emotional. And thereafter, we suggest to the parents to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist and get the proper testing done. That is the appropriate way. And then the professionals will tell us what needs to be done for the child. Is it counseling? Is it a special educator who will help the child? Or is it some kind of facility that we need to provide if the child has a physical disability? So that is important. So that is inclusion, where all the children are sitting in the classrooms according to their age, not ability. And when we talk about children in different schools, we see that that they are different, sections or different schools. So a lot of schools earlier, the children were segregated. So children with different abilities were sent to different schools. They were not included in the regular schools. So that was segregation. Then we started talking about, that the children can come. So we are integrating. So integrated learning started happening. So schools started having these cells where children were kept in those, cells where we had lots of special educators, and the children were studying, and they would only go to the classroom for maybe some co-curricular activity, for dance or music. Otherwise, they were being taught separately. Inclusive education means that the child is sitting in the classroom with his peers from morning till afternoon, whenever the school gets over. That is inclusive education, where the child is with the other children of his age and is being taught all the things, all the subjects in the same class, with the support of maybe the special educator. So the child goes to the special educator for whichever learning disability is identified, or where there is need, we have a shadow teacher. So there is one teacher who sits with this child to support the child in the classroom itself. So that is basically what we think of as inclusive education, wherein the child is included in everything, be it the assembly, be it the sports period, be it music, dance, math, science, or the languages.
Thank you. Thank you very much for initial inputs, what you have given to us. Ma'am, almost 1,200 people are watching you from the world over. And I've got few practical, the areas which I wish to share with you.
Yes.
Let's take an example. Parents have come.
Yes.
And parents have brought their child for admission in a particular school. Let's take it to your school.
Yes.
Now you are interacting, they have filled the form, everything and all. How do you come to know that this child needs something special when you're talking about cognitive, emotional, physical, and at the same time, parents might be careful, conscious, or knowingly, willingly may not be in a position or may not be intending to disclose that our child is a special child and needs. So how do you go by? As a layman, I just wish to understand that.
So when parents bring their children, to a school for admission, say ours, basically parents do know, we all know our children very well. So we generally have an inkling, or we do know that there might be a problem. However, we don't like to disclose it because, there is that stigma that my child is special, or, what will people say? What will the society say? However, I would suggest to all the parents out there that that is the worst thing that you can do for your child. Because when we do not accept that there's a problem, we really can't solve it, right? So if there is no problem, there is going to be no solution. So it is very important. Like when we have a disease, we need to first diagnose it and then treat it. So this is not a disease. This is just a different problem or a disability that we need to identify so that the correct support can be given. So when parents come to us, what we do is we generally, have a interaction. We talk to the children. So the teachers of that grade might talk to the children or the parents, and from there we can come to know. So when we are looking at what is the baseline, or what is the general standard of, say, academic rigor that should be there, or what the child can tell. So it could be oral expression. So when you speak to a child, so from the oral expression of the child, we will be able to make out whether the child speech is clear, whether the child is able to form sentences, whether the child's vocabulary is age appropriate. So these are all things which immediately you will be able to see whether there is oral expression that is age appropriate or not. Then we might be looking at listening comprehension. So if a child is there and we are talking to the child, asking simple questions, and if the child cannot comprehend what is being asked or said, so that means there is some problem in the comprehension of the child. So that would be another red flag. Then we might be looking at, you give a child a little paragraph or 2 lines to read. If the child's reading fluency is not matching with the spoken skills. So now if I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking with a certain speed. So if I'm not reading with that speed, then that means there might be some problem with my reading abilities, right? So these all are red flags telling us that there might be some learning disability in the child. Then we look at mathematical reasoning. So maths is again a big problem, and we come to know whether the child has a problem with arithmetic, with reasoning, with numbers, with calculations. And then, of course, we come to the written expression. That's the last. So LSRW, writing is the last always. So when we look at the writing, we might find that the child is not able to write at all. It could be gross motor, the child is not able to hold the pen, or it could be that the child is not able to actually, write the letters. So what happens is all of these, then we are able to see, because we are teaching in our school. So we know what a child is expected to do, say in class 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So when we see that there might be a problem, and that's, we are talking about the learning disabilities, there could be a behavioral issue, there could be a physical problem, there could be, other problems like, say, autism or Asperger's, Tourette syndrome. So there are multiple problems that there might be in a child. So then we generally ask the special educator to come and meet the child, to do a very informal assessment, so that we are in a better position to speak to the parent. And then we guide the parent accordingly. We do not diagnose. We tell the parents that this seems to be the problem. First, you get it diagnosed, so that we are able to see what we as a school need to do to support your child. So that is the procedure we follow here at Smart Wonder School.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very valuable inputs and very systematic and rhythmic what you have given to me. Now, what comes to my mind again, ma'am, as a human being, when I take a balanced approach, it's a very difficult task. Let's take it. There are 40 students in any particular class. Teacher has to take all of them. And some of them are very bright. Some of them are very sharp. Some of them, they grasp very well, faster, quicker. Some of them, they are slow learners. But at the same time, these children also, in inclusive education, has to be taken in that ecosystem.
Yes.
So how do we go by? What do you expect from the parents? Let's see that you have given admission to such a child. You have made that child to sit in that class as like any other child, and you want that child to pick up, to grasp, to follow the desired path and to move ahead. Then do you feel that the teacher role is very challenging and very difficult to take all of them together as an inclusive approach? And at
Yes.
the same time, you as a principal, because I saw a lot of depth of work which you have undertaken, and where basically you have made a separate profile, separate registers, and separate kind of a chronology you have taken, and each and every day, every child's activity you are taking into consideration, and you need parent support also for all the efforts what you are putting in. So how do you develop this ecosystem, ma'am?
So most important is, first of all, we need to sensitize the teachers, right?
Okay.
And obviously hire a qualified special educator, which
Wow.
is as it is mandatory for schools to have. So there has to be a special educator. So basically the difference is that the teachers do a B.Ed and the special educator does a B.Ed in special education. Right. So there they have been trained and taught about all the different learning disabilities or all the things that are needed, how to make the individualized lesson plan, say that is the last. So what happens is that the children are sitting in the classroom and we have, say, children with different abilities also sitting in the classroom. So not only children with different learning abilities and other disabilities, but each child is different, as we understood. So say 70% of the class will be like average, above average intelligence. They will be children above that, below that, 15% above that, 15% are below that. So all good schools train their teachers to have their material, so the worksheets or the assessment sheets or even the teaching learning material meant for the maximum number of children. However, we always have those extra worksheets for the children who are brilliant, so that they can do that once they've finished. And for the children who might find these concepts difficult, especially if they have been identified as having special needs, so those in our school, we have them created by the special educator. So the special educator sits with the subject teacher to understand, because these children are at different levels for different subjects in different classes. So if I am studying in class 4th with a math learning disability, right? So dyscalculia. So supposing I have dyscalculia and I am in class 4th, so the special educator will modify the worksheets of those concepts that are being taught in class 4th to suit my needs, to suit my level of understanding, because it is important to provide the basic understanding of concepts rather than bringing this child to the level of the class. So we need to then we create these individualized lesson plans and yearly plans for children to take them from point A to point B. And that is what I had shown you, that every child who has been identified and with the parents' consent, so their those files are created based on which subject. So is it a learning disability in maths, or is it dyslexia, or is it dysgraphia? So depending on the learning disability, their remediation is done by the special educator. So again, I will emphasize, identification is not done, the remediation is done by the special educator. So a lot of times the special educator will sit in the class with the child to assist the child understand the concepts as they're being taught by the class teacher to the whole class. Now, at that point of time, she becomes the shadow teacher. Other times, the children might be sent to the special education cell for a one-to-one, because when you have a learning disability, You need that. And a lot of children with learning disabilities do end up also, having ADHD. So attention deficit syndrome. So in that, what happens is the child cannot really sit in one place. So the child is running around, and a teacher teaching 25 children, 30 children cannot pay attention to that child who might have a learning disability also. So when we are looking at core concepts, be it EVS, science, math, or skills of the languages, be it English, Hindi, Punjabi, the children then work with the special educator, and that removes a lot of burden from the regular educators who concentrate on the children in the class. However, we try to ensure that the children spend more time in the class, because a lot of peer learning happens. So we do have buddy systems to ensure that the children are supporting each other. So when we are sensitizing the teachers, whenever there's a child with a learning disability or any special needs child who comes to our school, we ensure that the whole class is sensitized to the needs of the children, and buddies are assigned to that child. In fact, the whole class wants to help that child, but we also assign different responsibilities so that they are like little support systems for the teacher. So the teacher basically, so how are we supporting the child? The teacher has support from the special educator. The teacher has support in differentiated worksheets, and the curriculum is modified. So as it is when we'll speak, so even the CBSE is very clear. So they also give us some concessions for children with special needs. So as a school, obviously we can modify the curriculum based on the needs of the child and what the child can achieve, because the child, we need to ensure that the person is, we are getting him ready or her ready to live a productive life. That is more important than getting 90% in maths or science or English. So we need to make sure that their core concepts are there, and their language skills there. If the child is not very fluent in a language, but we have to make sure that the child can communicate, their needs, because that is important. So life skills, we focus on the life skills. And generally, children with special needs are very good in some area or the other. We all know that, so that is something that we focus on. And we, so the children love to draw, so they get extra periods for drawing. They want to spend more time with the art teacher, we allow that. They want to come on Saturdays to spend more time, we do that. So we see what the child needs, what makes him happy, and of course, what is needed for the child to grow.
Great, great, wonderful inputs. Our teachers are great warriors, and at the same time, special teachers and principals like you, those themselves take so much of interest in such an areas. Now, ma'am, somebody has just raised a point over here. You initially talked about equality and equity.
Yes.
Now, what I can recall and remember, I saw one image long time back where there was a wall. On the other side, some match or something was happening. And this side, two boys are there. One of them is in a position to see across the wall, and the other one is standing, of course, on the same, but he's not in a position to see.
Yes.
So the next picture is that you put one more drum down below and you raise his level and bring. Would you be kind enough to amplify, or a little bit you would like to give input on equality and equity directly with the education, ma'am?
Yeah, so when we talk about equality and equity, so this is what we are trying to say, that it's not about doing the same thing with all the children. So there will be differentiated worksheets, there will be differentiated curriculum. That is equity. When I know this child, supposing we say take a math concept and we're talking about addition. So we're talking about, say, addition with two numbers or three numbers or three figures. So this child who is still learning the numbers cannot maybe do the operations of addition. So we will not make that child do that, and we will only assess the child on his capability or what the child can do. So we are trying to bring, so we know this child has learned this much, but we cannot assess the child on something that another child is learning, and the child has the capability of doing that. So equality is where we are saying we give the same worksheet, teach them in the same manner, and assess them in the same manner. That's not possible. Equity is when we provide these supports, like you said, so providing those drums for the child to be able to see over. So that's a beautiful example, and that is the right example to give. So equality would be, they're both my children, let them stand and look over the wall, but the child can't look. So we need to support. So in education, the extra support is given by the special educator, the extra support is given by the teachers, be it making the curriculum lesser, be it reducing the number of subjects, be it giving simpler worksheets or assessment sheets. All these are ways to create equity in the classroom, keeping the special needs of the particular child.
Great, great. Thank you. Second last question. We have got two questions. So
Yes.
second last question. Is the special educator able to run psychological tests to detect the exact learning disability?
Yes, so special educators are trained. However, it is always better to go to a proper hospital, like especially in India, we expect them to go to a government hospital, because government hospitals have psychologists who run these tests. And if you look at the boards, say I'll talk about the CBSE, they expect that the testing needs to be done by reputed this thing psychologist in a government hospital, and that is accepted, not by private practitioners. However, you can always get it done outside or by the special educators, but based on that, the children do not get their concessions. So we always advise our parents to go to a big hospital, a government hospital, and get the children tested by a psychologist. So these people are masters in psychology. They have a lot of experience. They might be clinical psychologists, and they are the ones who are supposed to test. The special educator is basically to teach, educate the children once the testing has been done.
Okay, great. Now, what exactly CBSE is doing about it, ma'am? Because when we talk about the CBSE board, what exactly are they doing in this?
So first of all, the CBSE is, I would just like to read a line that the CBSE had written to all of us as principals. And so this is, they say, inclusion is not just about including children with disabilities. It is about embracing the idea that diversity is the reality, and therefore each child is a unique learner. So basically, from this sentence only, you will come to know that it is not something that should be done just for the sake of doing it. Inclusion means body, soul, with our heart, we need to include these children, embrace them, embrace their differences, and understand that we all are different. So no school has the same teachers or the same level of teachers, the same competencies in the teachers, the same behavior in the teachers. So why should we expect the same from the children? Now, CBSE has given concessions to children, be it physically challenged or with learning disabilities. So basically they say that because supposing I have dyslexia, and that is a learning disability of the languages. So we will not go into the details of what kind of disabilities or what they mean, and because they need to be tested outside. So in schools, the children are exempted from learning the third language. So the children do not have to learn 3 languages till class 8, because other children have 3 languages, right? So there is English, say our school, if that's the first language, then there is Hindi, and then there is the state language, Punjabi, or say they might be Sanskrit in UP, or they might be Bengali in Bengal. So children till 8th are supposed to learn 3 languages, but a child with a learning disability, which is diagnosed, will only have to do 2. Then the children, when they're sitting for the board exams, they get the facility of a scribe. A scribe is basically another student of the same school, or the school where the child is going to take the exam, who is 1 class younger than the child who's giving the exam. So supposing I'm giving the exam for class 10th, I have a learning disability, I have taken the permission of the CBSE board, and my school will do that for me. So then one of my peers who's studying maybe in class 9th can sit and write for me, because I cannot write, and I can dictate the answers. So that's a very big support and help that can be taken by the children. Then, of course, we know that the child's maybe reading comprehension is lesser. The child might have difficulty in writing. So the children are given additional time, depending on what is the length of the paper and what is the general time given to the others. So the children with learning disabilities get extra time. The children, depending on their disabilities, will also be given a separate place to sit. Because if I have ADHD and I'm sitting in a class of 30, I will not be able to concentrate on my paper. So I need a separate place, or I have a physical disability and the classroom is on the 2nd floor. So a lot of concessions are given, and the examiner, or the person who is looking after the examination will give a separate room. Then we also have that when we are in, say, the secondary school, so we can opt for 1 language and any 4 of the other languages. So because in 9th and 10th, then the children are supposed to have 2 languages. So now the CBSE says, don't take 2 languages, you can take 1 language, and you can take another subject where there are practicals. So supposing I'm good in art, so I can take art also, and that will benefit me rather than struggling with a language which I might not be able to or good at. So that is another very, very important concession that the CBSE gives. And depending on the disability, so for blind children, for deaf children, so there are multiple, concessions that the CBSE gives.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Poonamjit Kaur, ma'am, the principal, Smart Wonder School, Mohali in Punjab, in India. And almost 1,200 people have joined us from the world over, from the different places, and you can understand how important this segment of the education is. And ma'am chose, it's not us. She told, let's take on this particular topic, this particular subject. This is what is the need of the hour in the education. That's your inclusive education, which is the need of the hour. Equality, equity, sympathy, empathy. And madam talked about body, soul, heart. And then she talked about what exactly the special teachers do, how much efforts have to be put in. Education, teachers, educators, principals, and everybody in the ecosystem. You shape the world. You develop the world. You chisel the monument in such a way that whatever world is going to be tomorrow is in the hand of the teachers, principals, and educators. We are so much indebted to the entire education fraternity. All of you, you're the great warriors. You're shaping the world. You're developing the world. You're chiseling the world. You're empowering the world, and you're making the future. And how the world would look like, how youth would behave, what kind of a work they will take on. Ma'am gave something very key word. We want to make them so that they have a productive life. That is something very important, which you used the word. Many more such sessions in future. We will look forward to, ma'am, have you for yet another powerful session. And our thirst has increased. More people have joined. More and more people are joining. I can see them right over here. and we look forward to have you in the near future. All the best to your teacher, your school, your management, under your dynamic leadership, what you're doing over there. Thank you very much for coming today. Thank you very much for joining us. And
Thank
all our brothers and sisters across the globe, enjoy your day, enjoy your afternoon, enjoy your evening. And that's the way the world has to move on. We have to make this world better place. And nice saying, leave the world better than what you got it. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
thank
Namaskar.
you.
Thanks.